are going to begin the show in a moment. Yeah. Stick around. It's going to be good. You want to learn something? You want to feel kind of good about living here? Going to work on it, okay? So do not leave your whatever device you're watching it on or at home or whatever. Starting in just a moment, okay? I've done a buttload of work on tonight's show. Do not leave it. You'll just disappoint me and you'll break my mother's heart. There you go. Mom, you're watching? Yeah. If people don't watch my show, it's going to be terrible. All right. Coming up in just a second here, kids. Ooh, I got some good stuff, Burton. Oh, my goodness. And Glenn and Marty, and we got some good stuff. All right, let's get this started. Shall we? I think we should. There we go. So it is, the 8th of June, 2020, and what could be the worst year that our country has ever had. Yet somehow we are able to, create 2.3 million jobs last month. Dow Jones Industrial Average coming back and all that stuff, even though we're a racist, horrible country. And, all of you people who are Caucasoids like me are evil. It is remarkable. These are remarkable times that we live in, and this is something we've been through before. But unfortunately, a lot of people, the millennials and Gen Y, Gen Z, have no idea. We've been through this drill before, right? We went through Rodney King. We went through, and by the way, that was the first real time that looting had been used to, looting had really been used, to just steal under the guise of some sort of a social movement. That was when it really hit, in 1991. That's when it really happened. Then it continued, on and on and on through Eric Garner and Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown. Mike Brown was a thug who was high, and he charged a police officer. The police officer shot him dead. All of the neighbors nearby said that it happened. It was wrong. The police officer should have shot him, but it didn't make any difference. Ferguson burned. The country burned. Eric Garner, the country burned. Trayvon Martin, not killed by a police officer, just, I guess, an overzealous, maybe, community organizer, and George Zimmerman, and he was like a community whatever with a concealed carry, and Trayvon Martin, in case you didn't know, was communicating with his girlfriend. He thought that George Zimmerman was gay and was trying to hit on him, and that's why Trayvon Martin straddled him and started beating his skull against the ground, and that's when George Zimmerman shot the guy. So I remember I had the same reaction. I was like, oh, this poor kid, he's just going to get Skittles and some iced tea and all that. And it was wrong. But it was a convenient excuse to forward a narrative that the police are killing more black people because, they're evil and they hate black people. And it's honestly, I'm just so effing fed up with it right now. I'm just effing fed up with it. I do believe that George Floyd should not have died. The more that I find out about George Floyd, this is a guy who had lived his entire life as a low-level criminal. One of the biggest crimes he committed is he was part of a burglary where he held a pregnant woman, hostage while his friends and associates ransacked the house. He pointed the gun at her stomach. That happens a lot. I mean, come on, the average person, who hasn't done that? Or you get a bunch of your friends together and you burglarize a house and you hold a gun to a woman's stomach and and then, who hasn't done a little crystal meth? It kind of happens. I mean, honestly, you guys, seriously, tell me you haven't had a little meth before you went into work in the morning. Come on. But anyway, I'm not going to whiz on this thing because I do not believe that George Floyd should have died. That was wrong. The officer, Officer Chauvin, should have known when he said, "I can't breathe." He had his knee on the guy's neck, and he lost consciousness, and he kept his knee on the neck of that man for another 4.5 minutes. Ridiculous. Is it a metaphor for policing in this entire country? No, it's not. It is absolutely not. And let me just go ahead and say this right now, because I'm not Drew Brees. I support the men and women of law enforcement because, by God in heaven, you have no effing idea until you've stood in their shoes what they deal with. You don't even realize. I mean, a lot of times we talk about soldiers with PTSD. Do you know what police officers go through? Do you know what highway patrol people go through? Do you know what first responders go through? You have no effing clue, do you? A few years ago, I was talking to a police officer. And he said there was a guy he was flying by on a crotch rocket, about 120 miles an hour. And the police officer gave chase. Didn't chase very long because the guy disappeared out of the distance in front of him. And the police officer kept going until he saw a guardrail that was damaged. And off in the distance, he could see a motorcycle. One half of a person over here. One half of a person over here. Can you imagine doing that? Could you imagine going home and saying, "Hi, honey, I'm home. I'm home, honey. You'll never guess what happened to me at work today." So I'm just going to say, I want to end this bullshit right now. Attacks on the police ad infinitum. Attacks on the police in general. Attacks on, and you ridiculous morons in cities like Washington, D.C., and particularly Minneapolis, where I used to call my home, you ridiculous morons. I hope and pray to God you disband and defund your police, and you descend into hell on earth, and you become Escape from New York, and people don't bother going there, because if you get it, that's the leadership you chose. That's the leadership you chose. I moved to Minneapolis. I lived in Uptown, though, very liberal Uptown, 95 to about 98. And I realized it was absolutely batshit crazy then. It is beyond insane right now. And I would never, ever, 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 ever have my children there. It is too effing dangerous, and the people there are too effing stupid. Too stupid to live. So, where do we want to start tonight, kids? Where do we want to start? I want to start with the Democrats in Congress kneeling today because they want to pass a new police reform legislation. And this, honestly, this is quite a display. It's quite sickening because the Democrat Party always depends on black votes, always asks for the black voters to service them until Election Day, and then leaves money on the dresser the next day and disappears. Today, they wore these African scarves around their neck. It's cultural appropriation, by the way. And they did a little, I guess, prayer visual. Not sure who they're praying to. Could be Satan, for all I know. Nancy Pelosi, probably not a big surprise. Kneeling before going into session, appropriating African culture because they're down with it.
For those who wish to, we will now kneel for our moment of silence.
Can you hear the knees creaking there? It's like the 10 Man before they did the WD-40. I love these scarves on all these old white people. This is fantastic. I had heard several African-American members of the Senate would not attend this because they thought it was too contrived and stupid. And they're right. Well, I would have brought some knee pads or something there. Borrow one from Monica Lewinsky or just an intern in a Democrat office. You don't have to worry about your knees getting all abrased. Oh, there's, what's his name from New York? Fatty Fatterson. He can't do it. Wait till the cameras stop shuddering, and then we can get up. Wow. And they've taken a lot of heat about this because it'd be kind of like if a Hasidic Jew got killed in New York by police, and they all decided to wear the sideburns and the brimmed hats. there's Chuck Schumer. Oh, God. The insufferable Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, that's. Oh, I'm going to tie my shoe here. No, sorry. Hold on. Chuck Schumer. Really, really, really. Wow. I mean, yeah, wow. No words except for panderific coming to my mind. Hello, Marty. Hello, Ryan and Debbie watching on Facebook at Rob Carson. Then, of course, a lot of people on Rob Carson's show. There's Greg Ring and Paul. Hi, Greg. How you doing, man? I've been to this rodeo before. I've been talking about this for a very long time, the crisis in the African-American community. And obviously, there are some reforms that need to be made with police departments everywhere. There is a militarization of the police department. It's happening in a lot of different ways. And I guess I kind of don't blame them because of, the out-of-control elements of society. But at the same time, it is a shame that in the African-American community there is the decay of the family, that there's this ungodly amount of violence that's taking place and has been taking place for decades of Democrat leadership. I posted a piece today. Did you know that 18 black people got murdered last weekend in Chicago? Now, this is on the heels. I want you to think about this. The heels of Memorial Day weekend when 10 black people murdered other black people. And then the deadliest day in Chicago in 60 years. Why is that, kids? Well, you've got societal issues. You've got cultural issues. We've got the mayhem associated with these anti-police riots. You have opportunists who are not only taking advantage of the situation to steal, but also to murder. 18 murders, 24 hours inside the most violent day in Chicago in 60 years, and it's not because of the police. A hardworking father killed at just before 1 a.m. West Side high school student murdered 2 hours later. Man killed him at South Side looting at a cell phone store at 12:30. College freshman who hoped to become a correctional officer gunned down at 4:25 p.m. after getting into an argument in Inglewood. It goes on and on and on, and 18 times in Chicago. Black people were murdered, and nobody cares. I'm honestly tired of talking about it. I've been talking about it for 30 years. Since I was in my 20s living in Columbia, Missouri, I've been talking about this. And I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. And I'm tired of those who don't get it. And I'm tired of those who are blame chasers, and they keep going down this road that it is systemic racism, and it is the police, and it is this and that, and Jesse Jackson gets involved, and Al Sharpton gets involved, and they never do a goddamned thing. They never do a goddamned thing. And I don't like using that kind of language, but honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm tired of watching another generation of young black kids suffer and die. I'm tired of good kids who try hard in school being demonized. I'm tired of this culture of misogyny and violence and thug and gang culture being celebrated. I'm sick and tired of it. But, I can't comment on it because I'm a white guy. I can't talk about it because I'm a white guy. I want to get into the idiot mayor of Minneapolis. Such a complete and feckless fool. We'll do that in just 1 second here. And then also the frustration of white America before black America. White guilt saying that we need to do that. I'm not going to do it. I got nothing to feel guilty about. George Bush and Mitt Romney said they will not vote for Donald Trump for re-election. Now, I had heard that George Bush has since recanted, said this is false, but Mitt Romney says that he's not going to vote for Donald Trump. And wow, big surprise, right? And honestly, who gives a crap? I thank George Bush for serving the country. Thank you, sir. I do have a good deal of respect for you. Mitt Romney, I could give a shite less about. You're a failed candidate. You are a Rhino Country Club Republican, and to hell with you. And honestly, your non-support of Donald Trump will only strengthen his candidacy because nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about you.
You have to take responsibility.
Hold on. Stop. Nope. Let's get to the mayor of Minneapolis, and I used to live in this area, and unfortunately, the area that I used to live in uptown has been looted and destroyed. Downtown Minneapolis looted and destroyed. Jacob Fry is a 38-year-old, although he seems about 12. And he honestly, did you see him at the funeral of George Floyd? He was weeping like a little baby. He never knew George Floyd. He would have never associated with George Floyd. But he cried like a little baby, weeping with his shoulders like this after one press conference last week where he came forward and was apologetic for all of the violence and subjugated himself and acted like a giant P-word with Ussy on the back. And they removed him basically from doing pressers after that because he looked so weak. And now he appears at a BLM rally in Saturday, and he decided it, because the mob wants the police department disbanded, and I encourage it. I encourage police officers in Minneapolis to take early retirement, get the F out, and leave these morons who voted these morons into office alone so they can do their community policing and see how well that goes. Here's the moron wussy with a P word, Jacob Fry, talking to this, trying to hug the mob that he created.
You have to take responsibility here.
Whoa. He just said you have to take responsibility. Nobody in that crowd wants to know they're responsible for anything. Everything is somebody else's fault.
I've been coming to grips with my own...
Oh, here he is. He's confessing his sins. He is confessing his sins before the altar of the white guilt. And he's going to confess his sins, what he has done, and why you need to forgive him. But, of course, the mob would have nothing to do with it.
Brokenness in this situation, my own failures, my own shortcomings that I know that...
I have a small penis.
...needs to be deep-seated... structural reform in terms of how the department operates.
His mask says I can't breathe. You could if you took the mask off.
Systemically racist system needs to be revamped. Okay. The police union needs to be put in its place. We need to make sure.
He looks like he should be standing outside of an ice cream truck saying, I would like a SpongeBob with bubblegum eyes.
And everything from the union contract to the way that the arbitration functions to the way that our officers and the culture in the department behaves.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Hey!
Okay, and here's where Bossy McBosserson, I don't know who the hell she is, she decided to start talking smack and getting all, ghetto on him. You are spreading coronavirus all over the place there, little Miss S, whatever.
Fist up, y'all. Fist up. Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Yes or no, will you commit
And if you say no, we are going to send you out of here.
to defunding Minneapolis Police Department? What did I say? We don't want no more police. Is that clear? We don't want
no mo police. Thought this was Minnesota. That would be like MN police. Missouri is MO.
people with guns toting around in our community, shooting us down. You have an answer. It is a yes or a no. It is a yes or a no. Will you defund the Minneapolis Police Department?
I think this is intolerance. I could be wrong.
All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this. It's important
Jacob's going to go home.
that we hear this, because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year.
Uh-oh.
If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year.
Y'all.
And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year?
Are you going to burn down the place and steal stuff?
What'd you say?
Or is it about voting?
I do not support full abolition.
Uh-oh. He says he doesn't support getting rid of the police department.
Get out of here. Go.
Wrong answer there, buddy.
Get out of here.
Go home, Jacob. Go home. Go home, Jacob. Go home.
Same thing happened to him when they were playing Foursquare when he was in elementary school. Go home, Jacob. Go home.
Go, Jacob. Go home.
Yeah, you know what? You know what people really hate is a weak leader, and you just proved yourself. He is such a worthless piece of crap. I mean, he really is. Here is Ilhan Omar, who is married to her brother, actually. She married her brother to get him in the country, I guess, and, not uncommon where she's from. I don't know. Certainly in Arkansas. But anyway, she went ahead and she took over the meeting there, saying that, the police need to go bye-bye.
I will never co-sign on funding a police department that continues to brutalize us.
God, I hate her voice. Could you imagine being married to that?
And I will never stop saying, not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
Oh, God, if I were a police officer in Minneapolis, I would be calling in sick tomorrow. I really hope these idiots get a taste of their medicine without a police department. I pray to heaven that this woman's house, wherever it is, that somebody goes and attempts to burglarize it, and she tries to call 911. Yeah, listen to the mob. Now, you'll notice the cell phone, the smartphone, has replaced the torch and the pitchfork.
The Minneapolis Police Department is rotten.
Rotten. It's rotten to a core. Here you go. This is another thing that drives me crazy about her speech. It's rotten.
Police Department is rotten.
It's rotten. It's rotten.
To the root.
To the root.
And so when we dismantle...
Is it really? All of the people who work at the Minneapolis Police Department, you are sure that they are all criminals. You feckless, awful, wretched, disgusting woman who married her brother to get him citizenship.
We get rid of that cancer and we allow for something beautiful.
I like potatoes au gratin, too.
To rise. And that reimagining allows us to figure
And I like cotton candy.
out what public safety looks like for us.
Let's see what it looks like when you don't have any police. That is a super pink hat and a super pink scarf. Yay! We all want to get killed. Yay! No police. Yay! We're stupid. Yay! Goodbye, you idiot. Jeez Louise. Donald Trump went to Maine. You know, his popularity is below Jimmy Carter this time. And he's going to lose the election because everybody hates him. And everybody blames the violence and everybody blames coronavirus on him, even though that is not true. Went to Maine over the weekend. This is kind of the reaction he got. Look at all those Trump haters. Look at all those Trump haters. He said he didn't need military control on his Maine trip because Antifa and wacko groups of anarchists weren't there to cause trouble. There you go. Looks very unpopular. Yeah, I'm thinking he's not going to be elected. No, he actually is in a very, very big way. Rasmussen says, despite the left's efforts to paint him as a racist, blame him for the police brutality and the riots, which is none of his doing. And before all of the coronavirus happened, lowest black unemployment in the history of the country. Serious sentencing reform, the repeal of the 1994 crime bill. All of these things to support black people, freeing black prisoners who are wrongly accused or overpunished. Yeah, I know, he's a racist. Trump received 8% of the African-American vote 2016. Black voter approval in August 2019, 26%. Now it's 40%. This is interesting. This is not only racism, but it's anti-Semitism in New York City. A protester named Ace Burns threatened to burn down New York City's Diamond District on Saturday. Do you know why that Ace Burns wants to go after the Diamond District? Because Jews.
You know, I'm a leader of this FTP movement. It means a lot of things. It can mean free the people. It can mean for the people.
It could mean a lot of things. Free toilet paper.
It could also mean fire to property.
Free toilet paper. free toilet paper. FTP, free toilet paper.
You know, and that's very possible. Tonight I'm leading a demonstration.
That's not going to prevent the coronavirus. They're right there in the middle there. That's going to come right through there.
From Barclays Center at 6 p.m. to City Hall. And that's the first stop. And we're hoping de Blasio and Cuomo come out and talk to us and give the youth some direction.
Dude, what have you been rubbing your nose on the ground? Why is that all shredded like that? Are you brown-nosing somebody?
But if they don't, the next stop is the Diamond District. And gasoline, thanks to Trump, is awfully cheap.
Okay, so that's like the Diamond District, and gasoline is very cheap, meaning they're going to firebomb it. And if I'm not mistaken, the Diamond District, largely Jewish. And we've been seeing a lot of broken glass in cities like Minneapolis. So I'm thinking kind of night of broken glass thing being repeated here.
Those are outrageous words to say, basically, that person was basically suggesting that they plan to go to the Diamond District, which
largely Jewish district,
which is run basically by Orthodox Jews.
But there's no anti-Semitism in the Black Lives Matter movement. Oh, yeah, it's majorly anti-Semitic. Ace Burns.
Here in New York City, certainly hope that is not the case, and we do not endorse or, in fact, we condemn that type of language here on the Fox News channel.
Now, Ace Burns was questioned by police, and I'm sure that Ace Burns, being as tough as he is, probably wept like a little baby when he was being interrogated by the police because he's all talk, no show.
Someone saying that
his girlfriend says the same thing.
Certainly should be called out in terms of any type of potential threat of any sort that we just heard live from someone who's interviewed here.
And it's largely peaceful, guys. I mean, come on, man. It's largely peaceful. These demonstrations are largely peaceful. When is the last time that a largely peaceful demonstration resulted in billions of dollars in property damage, thousands of businesses out of business, and at least 14 people murdered? Yeah, largely peaceful. I call bullshit on this one. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Brandon. Hello, Ed. Hello, Carol. What's going on? Those of you guys joining on Facebook at Rob Carson Show, and, of course, at Rob Carson as well. 77-year-old barber Carl Menke. Remember this guy in Michigan? Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Hitler. She basically said that people couldn't cut hair, they could go out and they could protest and all that stuff. She was at a protest over the weekend. It's perfectly fine. But this gentleman has been in the news, and the Supreme Court in the state of Michigan said, you know what, to Gretchen Hitler, that he can go ahead and cut hair.
What was your reaction when you saw the state police show up?
That's fine. I don't care. I mean, most of them are probably younger than my kids, so, it doesn't. I'm too old. I don't care about all this stuff, this nonsense. All I want to do is work. If they want to play their political games, I guess maybe that's what they want to do. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have any animosity towards the governor or towards the attorney general.
I think you should, because she's a psychotic helicopter parent from hell.
Whatever they feel they have to do. I know that, an awful lot of this stuff is politically driven.
It is, and that's why I'm so unforgiving of her.
Well, she's not my mother, not my mother.
But she acts like it.
Well, I send her all my love, and I'm sure her parents love her, and I'll send all my love to the attorney general.
Oh, I kind of wonder about that one.
And I'm sure her parents love her too, but I don't have any animosity toward them. They're just doing what they do. It's just this kind of I've been through 14 presidents, 14 administrations. I was born under FDR. But this is the first time I've ever seen anything, like this. And to say that a haircut isn't essential. You talk to a guy that drove up here from Livonia, or drove up here, called me from Queens wondering how he could get here to get a haircut. This type of thing. For men, haircuts are essential. That's a fact.
Well, Gretchen Hitler, Witless, Dickweed, whatever her name is. Anyway, she lost. She lost. Too bad, so sad. Gretchen Hitler. I'm going to get rid of that because I've got a lot of stuff to get to. I'm going to get rid of that. This is interesting. This is a protester in New York. She is a history teacher, and she's marching And the reason why I bring this up is this entire piece here. This is the kind of a metaphor for the blame culture, that everything is your fault, not my fault. History teacher has a young child.
I mean, I'm a black mother and I'm a social studies teacher and I'm raising a black son in America, so I have no choice but to fight and walk.
No, you do. You could just raise your son,
I can do.
What about some of the people who say that the riots and the looting are overshadowing the overall message that people are trying to convey?
The white mobs came and rioted in Tulsa and did the same shit. Oh, excuse my language, but I'm just saying, what's the difference?
It was like 60 years ago.
The government gave $1,200 to people to survive on in March. What you thought was going to happen? You took summer youth away from the youth. What you thought was going to happen? They need jobs. Feed our babies, and we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, when you have babies, you should feed them yourself, and that's generally a requirement. When you have babies, you just, might want to be ready to feed them. And where's Dad?
I think a lot of this is born out of frustration.
Yes, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And this is what's sick and tired.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. You're a social studies teacher. You got a better pension fund than I ever dreamed of.
It looks like, unfortunately, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations that got insurance. So, no offense, but they'll be all right.
What about some of the mom and pop stores on Fordham Road that are owned by people of color?
Define owned by people of color, because the banks actually run those businesses.
That's right.
The banks run the businesses. No, people borrow money from banks to open businesses, you freaking moron. You're a social studies teacher. Dear God in heaven.
So they could be a mom and pop store, but there's probably someone else that is not of their color funding their business.
So you can go ahead and burn them down. Awesome. What a complete and utter ignoramus. What a dishonest and awful person. And that she bred and had a baby is kind of sad. All right, let's move ahead here. A new generation of black conservatives speaking out about this, and they should, because it's nonsense. And they are rejecting the popular, hello, Lois. They are rejecting the popular media, the popular, idea that you can't get ahead because you're a victim in this culture, in this society. It's wrong. Even though some people have been able to become wildly rich, Beyonce and Jay-Z, living the life that coal miners in Appalachia ever dreamed of, or me, or you, for that matter. This is Rob Smith. He had some pretty cool things to say about it.
So the media says that the riots that are destroying Minneapolis right now.
Yeah, Joe Biden thought the only articulate black man ever was Barack Obama. It happens a lot, Joe, you racist.
Aren't really riots.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
Except for the large burning building behind you.
They're saying that it's all under control. They're saying that it's just protesting. They're riots. Minneapolis is being destroyed right now. Business owners of all
and D.C. and basically every major metropolitan area in the country, New York City certainly.
All colors are seeing their livelihoods destroyed. An affordable housing complex that was being built to help low-income people in the area has burned down to the ground. People that have invested their entire lives and their entire livelihoods and all of their savings into building their businesses in Minneapolis are seeing their businesses go up in flames. They are seeing their entire life's work go up into flames.
Now, this is not the first time it's happened. It's happened in L.A. It's happened in Ferguson. It's happened in Cincinnati. I was there. I watched Cincinnati burn because there was a man who was high on marijuana on a joint dipped in embalming fluid. He got really high. He passed out on a White Castle parking lot. This was in 2003. When the police arrived, he came up swinging at him. He was a very large, obese man with some pre-existing conditions, and he died as the police stopped him from trying to beat them. And Cincinnati burned. I was there. The curfews are there. That was 17 years ago, and since then we've seen other instances. Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin, a lie. Mike Brown in Ferguson, a lie. Here's Terrence Williams talking about, well, like, for instance, in Chicago last weekend, 18 black people killed on Sunday alone. Why don't these Black Lives Matter?
I want everybody to take a moment and look at these innocent black babies around me. Please take a moment and look. That's all I ask.
I don't think any of them ever tried to do a robbery of somebody in their house and held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, or, probably was high on meth, among other things.
Every single one of these babies were shot and killed. Do you hear me? Every single one of them were shot and killed.
You Antifa members, if those were white kids, would that make a difference? Look at those lives. Look at those beautiful faces. Look at those beautiful faces. %40 of black children are aborted before they're even born. These are some of the lucky few who made it to their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th, 10th birthdays, I guess.
And I guarantee you that 99% of the people watching this video don't even know the names of these babies.
Of course they don't.
Don't even know the name.
Don't.
But you will know their names today, because we will say their names. I will be saying their names. We will not forget these babies. And don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from George Floyd right now. I'm not taking away from police brutality. Yeah. But since we're talking about Black Lives Matter, let's not forget about these innocent black babies that were murdered, gunned down. And no innocent baby deserves to be gunned down, period. But they don't get any news coverage.
They don't. Look at those faces. Look at those little boys with their backpacks. Look at those smiling faces. I have been talking about this for 30 years. And nobody ever thinks about these kids. But it happens every weekend in places like Chicago and New York and Gary, Indiana, and LA, and everywhere.
Nobody protested for these babies. Nobody burned down a building. Nobody rioted for these babies. And they deserve their names to be on the news. They deserve for their names to be tweeted out. They deserve a hashtag. They deserve justice.
They deserve to live.
They matter too. So we will know their names today. So I'm going to start from the top.
Terrence, I'm going to not run the whole video. Just Google Terrence Williams. He's a really pretty amazing guy. Here he is talking about Al Sharpton once again using a dead body and grieving mourners as a prop.
Let me tell you something, Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to remove Reverend from your name. You are the devil. You are Al Lucifer Sharpton. How dare you use George Floyd's memorial service to bash President Trump? Are you stupid? You don't use somebody's funeral and make it about the president of the United States, because Trump did not have nothing to do with the death of George Floyd.
Well, you better tell the mayor of D.C. who painted Black Lives Matter pointing at the White House that had nothing to do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has done more for African Americans as far as socioeconomic success, as far as reversing very bad decisions with regard to criminal punishment of minor offenses and freeing black people who had been imprisoned wrongly.
Nothing to do with that. The person who has something to do with that is in jail. President Trump had nothing to do with it. So don't you dare blame President Trump. Have you lost your everlasting mind? Let me tell you something else, Al Sharpton. Where are you when black kids in Chicago are shot down in the streets?
He's never there. Because he doesn't care about them. He wants the big, high-profile funerals. That's where he gets rich. That's where he buys his $2,000 to $5,000 suits.
Where are you when young black innocent babies are murdered in Chicago?
He doesn't give a crap.
Never show up to their funerals, but you will show up when it can benefit you. You are a joke.
Speaking of a joke, at the Black Lives Matter protests, which are largely populated by white people, there was an African woman who showed up. She's from Africa. First generation. Not an African American, literally an African first, but now considers herself to be an American, and she decided to call out Black Lives Matter. And the white people who are there acting like, guilty victims.
Black Lives Matter is a joke.
Yep.
You are the racist. The racist is you. It's because the white guy killed that. You think they're racist. The racist, the Black Lives Matter. Go to Chicago. They don't have schools. And they die every day. They don't matter. Because you can get attention from that. Shut up.
I work with a gentleman who is from Africa and came to the United States because he saw the American dream and what he'd been through. He's a wonderful man. And he thinks all of this Black Lives Matter and all of this is nonsense. And it is.
Group of hypocrites. Go to Southeast DC, Northeast. Tell them Black Lives Matter. If it matters, it should matter everywhere. You guys are hypocrites. Attention seekers. Attention seekers. Black lives should matter everywhere. It doesn't take a white cop to kill a black person to matter.
So I'm here today because I heard about a demonstration.
I like her.
On, the George Floyd event, situation, which I'm going to be honest about it. It's wrong that, anything like that should happen. Okay? It's very wrong. My problem is it shouldn't be an opportunity for a group of people to use that as an excuse or to come across as victims. No one is a victim here. The only victim here is George Floyd. Let's be very clear.
There you go.
Everybody knows that black kills black more than anything. You know that. It doesn't take a white person to kill them for you to come out. Hypocrites.
Just leave.
You leave.
Here she is. She's a white person, and she's got her daughter here, and she just went to... she wouldn't go to Target. That's slumming, seriously. But she's going to tell this woman to go home.
Present. You leave.
Let me leave.
I don't want to make it.
Make me leave. Bunch of hypocrites. Black lives matter only when a white person touch a black person. You know how many black kids got killed in Northeast DC this morning? What did you do? You guys are the racists.
What did you do besides come out here and provoke shit?
No, go out there and tell the black
help then.
Go tell the black person Black Lives Matter. Then
give them what for? Come on.
They'll take you seriously. Everybody thinks you guys as a joke.
You a joke because you playing. Go out there and do it. You a joke.
No, you're a joke.
The Chicago kids who are dying every day.
What you doing?
Do you go there and tell them Black Lives Matter?
You going?
Make me go.
You're the one who's down with the white suburban mom holding her child, getting ready to go to Bed Bath & Beyond.
Make me go.
I'm so supportive of them.
Make me go.
Come on.
As an American citizen, I'm proud of this country. I love this country. I don't want my country to be portrayed like this.
Nice. And a lot of people who aren't spoiled and entitled and from here realize that it is and always will be the greatest engine for economic and individual prosperity and freedom in the history of mankind. You know what? I'm tired of the bullshit, to be quite honest. There was a PSA from Donald Trump that has been taken off of social media because it was positive about Donald Trump. Here's Steven Crowder playing the PSA. See what you can figure out why this was bad.
I understand the pain that people are feeling. The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. It has filled Americans all over the country with...
Can you believe the president would say these awful... What did he just say?
Horror, anger, and grief.
I don't think Donald Trump is wearing some sort of an African scarf and kneeling in the Capitol building to placate people and to pander to people because of the color of their skin.
We support the right of peaceful protesters.
Peaceful, thank you.
And we hear their pleas. The voices of law-abiding citizens must be heard, and heard very loudly. We will stand with the family of George Floyd, with the peaceful protesters, and with every law-abiding...
And the reason why social media wants to shut this down is because for some reason, and it's purely electoral, purely defeating Donald Trump, they want to pin this all on Donald Trump. Honestly, the depravity of the Democrat Party, of liberals, of the left in this country is ridiculous. First it was coronavirus and the president's response, and now George Floyd's death somehow is Donald Trump's fault, even though his policies ushered in a new era of prosperity for African Americans like they had not seen in 60 years.
Any citizen who wants decency, civility, safety...
Is it the music?
And security.
Must be the music, Stephen.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think.
But what we are
that's why it was blocked.
seeing on the streets of our cities...
Hold on a second, Reg.
...has nothing to do with justice or with peace.
Uh-oh, now he's going to start saying bad things about the rioting, and that's going to be wrong.
The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists.
True.
The
It's a
violence
good message.
and vandalism is being
Not good enough for social media.
led by Antifa and other radical left-wing...
I had friends of mine say that there's no evidence that Antifa is a terrorist organization. And one friend actually asked me to have an Antifa member on my show. And I said, I would not have one of Hitler's brown shirts on who took part in Kristallnacht. I certainly wouldn't want to have your little punk-ass bitch from Antifa on my show.
Groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs.
Did this for no reason.
The mobs are devastating the life's work of good people and
They
destroying
want to silence the president because he's saying the truth.
their dreams.
This is as presidential as one can get.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It harms those who have the least. We cannot and must not allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live
Think
without
of all the offensive things this president is saying right now. I mean, my God, it just makes you sick, doesn't it?
violence, prejudice, or fear. Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand.
And here's the thing. And this is why this latest attempt to unseat the president or blame this on the president is going to fail. Because nobody in their right mind in this country wants the police disbanded. Nobody in their right mind thinks that all police personnel are bad, because so many of us know police officers. So many families have officers. So many of you are in law enforcement. This is why it will fail again, because it's all based on a lie. It's all based on a lie. And if you think disbanding or defunding the police, if you think burning American flags, if you think kneeling during the national anthem is what American people want, you're going to get your ass kicked all the way through 2020. All the way, and Donald Trump's going to be the president again. Chicago mayor. You know, a lot of Democrats are saying get rid of police departments everywhere. The Chicago mayor is saying that if you have something in your problem in your neighborhood, you should not try to defend yourself. You should call the police that you hate so much and want to defund and destroy.
Asking if you could react to folks taking matters into their
Beetlejuice's stepsister.
own hands last night to protect their communities.
You know, I'm glad you actually brought that up. And let me say this. Obviously, we're aware of the fact that Illinois is a concealed carry state and that many people have weapons at their disposal in their homes and their businesses. Do not take matters into your own hands.
Oh, yes, you should.
Call the police.
Call the police that you hate so much and want to destroy. And you Democrat mayor, you've done the same thing.
We've seen tragedy happen in this country and recently when people felt like they could take measures.
Like what? Tell me. Give me one incident. Give me one. You have none.
Into their own hand.
You have none. If somebody's trying to break in your house and kill you and you have a gun, it's not tragic if you kill the a-hole who's trying to kill you.
Let me remind you of the killing of Mr. Arbery.
Yes.
Do not pick up arms and try to be the police. If there's a problem, call 911. We will respond.
And try to do that even though we've defunded them. Okay. Thank you. Next question. Joe Biden continued his incoherence. He appeared with, what did he appear with? Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle has a TV show, and Don Cheadle's a brilliant actor. Here he is repeating himself 3 times, I guess, in about a minute.
The act of protesting should never be allowed to overshadow the reason for the protest. The act of protesting should never be allowed to overshadow the reason for the protest in the first place.
That would be repeat number 1.
Place. And what I worry about tomorrow night in Wilmington, for example, there's a lot of really good people. I'm going to be out. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be up in Pennsylvania. But tomorrow night, what I worry a little bit about is you and many others are going to be out there protesting legitimately for change. But we can't allow the protesting to overshadow the purpose of the protest.
And that would be the 3rd time there, buddy. Do you feel good about voting for this guy? I mean, honestly, if you're a Democrat, you got to it's kind of cruel to keep him in the race, right? I mean, I had relatives who got a little crazy towards the end there. They're wiping their butts with, washcloths and stuffing up the toilet and doing weird stuff like that. And, so Joe Biden's right there. Trust me. I saw elderly relatives, my great Aunt Blanche. Woo! Yeah. Wouldn't say she was ready to be the president. Oh, this is funny. Nickelodeon, the network that's famous for SpongeBob, decides your kids need to be brainwashed. Okay. SpongeBob SquarePants, Fairly Odd Parents. It was for kids and families to enjoy together, and I have, but for some odd reason, Nickelodeon for 8 minutes and 50 seconds decided to do this. Why Cartoon Network? Why the hell not? What the hell? So the kids are sitting there going, okay, Dad, is that SpongeBob who can't breathe? Is that somebody can't breathe, Dad? I'm scared. F Nickelodeon, honestly. Really? Really? BLM. By the way, Lego has stopped marketing police-themed toys in the light of recent events. Can I just say right now, I support my police department and I support police. Tomorrow or Wednesday, I think Wednesday, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hold up signs at my little intersection. And I'm going to say I support the police. And we're going to see what kind of reaction I get. Because I do support the police. I do support police officers who every day put a uniform on, leave their house never knowing if they're going to come back, who see things that you and I can only imagine in our worst nightmares. I support our police, and I will not demonize all of them because of the actions of one officer in Minneapolis in this goddamned overreaction that we've seen time and time again, which all it does is displace responsibility and blame. I don't want to do that. We've got a few things here that I don't feel like doing. Roger Goodell, I don't give an F about Roger Goodell. I'm done with the NFL this season. I'm effing done with the NFL. If you want to kneel during the national anthem, it's going to be league wide. Everybody's going to kneel, and I'm effing done with the NFL. I'm not even going to watch the NFL this season. F the NFL. Done with it. There was nothing wrong with standing for the national anthem. A lot of black and white people have served in honor of our country and have died. And you stand during the national anthem. They do that in every other country in the world, and by God in heaven, you should do it in the greatest country in the history of mankind based on freedom, the greatest engine of economic and individual freedom in the history of mankind. You stand when the damned anthem plays, and if you don't, F you and F the NFL, and I'll burn my jerseys too. There you go. Screw you. Screw you, NFL. Oh, God, this is terrible. So there's this protesters going to a rally. It's called the Refuse Fascism Philly is who these people are. This is just, these are snowflakes on patrol. I want you to watch this. This is these weak-kneed little snowflakes who went to college and learned about, safe spaces and they all have degrees in like lesbian poetry and gender studies. Can you imagine riding in a car with these people?
All right, Billy Crew here, heading down to D.C. We're getting close. We're going to join Refuse Fascism in demanding.
We're driving in our Prius, and by the way, I think that is a Prius. Looking at the interior of the car, it really looks like a Prius.
No murder by police. No fascist.
You've got Wonder Boy over here who's never lifted a weight in his life.
Just police state. No fascist military war on the people. Trump, Pence out now. We're going to organize thousands to escalate this struggle for justice.
And we've never been through any of this because we went through 10 years of soccer practice in a sport that is largely still unpopular, and we went to college and we got worthless degrees.
Remove the Trump-Pence regime through the power of the people. So we're going
power of the people. That's the power. It's a Prius.
To share some chants with you that we're practicing.
Oh, here come the chants. Watch this. This is like when he becomes super duper stupid.
Here we go. Silence is complicity with white supremacy. Which side are you on? Which side?
You've got to be. Which side are you on? Ready? Okay.
Which side are you on? Trump, Pence, out now. Silence is complicity with white supremacy.
Now, she's got that ear piercing, the nose piercing thing on the right side there. How do you, I mean, honestly, because occasionally you're in your car and you might use a Kleenex and pick, what happened? You got this metal stud in there. Do boogers get hooked on? I'm just curious.
Which side are you on?
Which side are you on? Ready? Okay, here's another one.
Trump, Pence, out now. Get in the streets and stay. Come
the guy on the right next to me has never been laid.
back every day.
Never even thought of a girl dating him because he is a wuss.
We got shit to say.
Shit.
Trump, Pence, out now. Get in the streets and stay. We got shit.
God, can you imagine being in this car with these people? They would suck the life out of you. You'd lay there and you'd be like, dear God, just let me die.
To say. Come back every day. Trump, Pence, out.
Okay, yeah, we got that. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, go ahead. We got the spirit. Yes, we do. We got the spirit. How about you?
Need to know where to be today in a city near you? Be sure to visit Refuse Fascism.
I would never want to be in a city with you, even in the entire city if you were there.
.org and donate generously. We're bringing down more materials, a sound system, a banner, and there's been thousands of.
God help the man who marries, or the. I shouldn't say that. It's the non-binary being that could have either genitalia that marries her. Anyway, let's move on. You don't want to marry because it marries whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Oh, this is pretty good. This is the latest thing right now. It's white people prostrating themselves before black people because of the guilt. This is a white protesters. Hold on, white protesters actually. Hold on, yeah, washing the feet of black protesters and begging for forgiveness in Cary, North Carolina. Right there. Not sure exactly what, because they're hey, ho, ho. We're on the way to Philadelphia. We go. Whatever. No. They haven't done anything wrong. They haven't owned black people. They are just white, guilty liberals who honestly, how do I say this? They're not really assuaging guilt. They are claiming moral superiority by doing this. They are doing what Chinese peasants and others who were going to be executed in China did during the Cultural Revolution, which is to kowtow, to reduce yourself to the lowest possible level, to beg the mercy of other people before your execution or exile. That's what that's all about. Honestly, it is absolutely disgusting. Here is a police chief actually doing the same thing. George, Webster Police Chief Michael Shaw. Several hundred protesters during a anti-police brutality demonstration. This, of course, is in Massachusetts. Prostrating himself before the mob, again, to claim some sort of moral superiority and roll over on his belly like a dog, exposing it in weakness.
Thank you, Chief! Thank you, Chief! Thank you, Chief! Thank you, Chief! It's not enough, but it's a start!
Whatever. What happened to the mayor of Minneapolis a little while ago when I shared that video? What happened to him when he did that? They booted his ass right out. Here is a group of people. This is in, I shared this the other day. This is in Rockville, Maryland. White people trying to assuage their white guilt by kowtowing.
About racism, anti-blackness, or violence.
About racism, anti-blackness, or violence.
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
So like uplifting voice, like, I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
And do everything in my power to educate my community.
And, this is probably a person of color who's leading the group here, so this person could say anything like, I will stuff macaroni and cheese up my nose. I will stuff that macaroni and cheese up my nose.
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones.
And it isn't, I guess they didn't do that before. Wow. Just stupid. Stupid. Don't want to do that. Got a couple more things I want to play for you that are kind of fun. Marjorie Greene is running for public office, and she kind of kicks ass. Kind of kicks ass. Let me find Marjorie Greene, because I think she kind of kicks ass, in case I didn't make that eminently clear. Marjorie Greene is not going to have any of this political correctness stuff. Here, hold on. Anyway, here is her ad that has been actually taken down from social media because she has a gun.
President Trump declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. I have a message for Antifa terrorists. Stay the hell out of Northwest Georgia. You won't burn our churches, loot our businesses, or destroy our homes. I'm Marjorie Greene, and I approve this message.
I'd vote for her. And if I was single, I might ask, never mind. That was banned from social media because she has a gun, I guess. Here is her other ad, and I hope she kicks ass and wins.
I'm Marjorie Greene, and I approve this.
I'll just be honest. I think Eric Greitens of Missouri, before he went through a sex scandal, did this same. This is a template from an ad company, but I think it still kicks ass.
Ad. America's the greatest country in the world. We need conservatives in Washington that will keep it that way. I'm running to stop gun control.
Wow.
Open borders. The Green New Deal.
Ooh, I like this.
And socialism. Democrats fight for their socialist agenda every single day. I'll fight even harder to stop them. I'm Marjorie Greene, Republican for Congress. Save America, stop socialism.
Instead of the snowflakes doing cheerleads in their Prius. Nice. I'd vote for her. Okay, a couple of things before I go, because I've been on the air for a while. And Ben and James and Marty. Hello. Who else? And Margie and Tim and Robert and Greg and Brandy and look at all the people. Parker, what's up, my friend? How are you in Maryland? I hope to come see you this summer. This is kind of scary. This is a cheerleader bomb maker. That's what happens when you get hit by a bomb. Cole Carini arrived at a hospital on Tuesday, missing a hand, missing fingers on his other hand, and shrapnel wounds to his neck. Apparently, investigators discovered triacetone triperoxide, a substance used in the creation of improvised disposable devices. Apparently, he said that his plot was to blow up hot cheerleaders because he'd been rejected by women and was still a virgin. I know, I'm as surprised as you are. He apparently had previously been convicted on explosives charges. Not too good at it, apparently. This time he lost a couple of fingers. According to the arrest affidavit, investigators found a piece of human skin and skin-colored chunks to be believed that of his flesh in his bedroom. A black light, I'm sure, would have covered a lot more. So, a 75-year-old woman, Caitlin Metro. Yeah, her name's Caitlin, and she's 75. I know, it's like Caitlyn Jenner. How's that possible? Hiking off of the Pistoia Peak when she reportedly tripped along the trail and became disoriented, needed help down, so they called a helicopter. And apparently the helicopter, not the best way to become less disoriented, because this happened. So they're getting Caitlin, age 75, who's just a little bit younger than Caitlyn Jenner, but still has the name Caitlyn, which is really odd for somebody who's 75 years old. But she gets lifted up. She thinks everything's cool, and that's when the spinning starts. Here comes the spinning. Little spin, just a little spin. We're getting there. And then the wash of the helicopter, and then here comes the super disorienting stuff, and it gets worse. And she spun 175 times. Oh, boy. Before she got to the top of the helicopter. She's suing the city for $2 million, saying that it was gross negligence, and she pretty much been spinning ever since. Kind of like the first time you had some really heavy-duty pot. Very similar to that. Or when you drank too much tequila in high school. Dear God, can you imagine that? Okay. Wow. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Margie. Oh, I got a couple things here I want to share that are really cool. I'm going to do, actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more story before I go. Because we've been together long enough, and I've got other stuff to get to. I'll share it on tomorrow's show. Great things happening on Newsmax TV, by the way. Newsmax TV, running my show on the weekends. We got some really cool things happening there. A lot of people enjoying what I do, seeing it for the very first time, including some very powerful people in Washington, D.C. So, one more story. Listen to this. Sam Rogers created a about $700,000 jet suit. Decided he wanted to become the real-life Marty McFly. He's 24 years old. He flew his hoverboard alongside a DeLorean. This is what 24-year-olds can do with $700,000 of too much money on their hands. Check this out. I want to do this. This is so cool. Man, we live in glorious times, don't we? This is here and now. Marty, come on, we've got to go back to 1985. That wasn't too bad. It's so cool. Wow. Sounds like the theme to Knight Rider. That is so cool. Wow, that is so cool. Okay. It's time for me to go. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys. If you get a chance to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Rob Carson Show. Check out NewsmaxTV.com for TV listings so you can watch my full-blown show or actually wear a suit jacket and a well, I don't have to wear a tie, which is really nice. The guys at Newsmax say, yeah, no, Carson, you don't have to wear a tie, you know. But it's all comedy on that show, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's called Rob Carson's What in the World? What in the World? Have a glorious evening, guys. Great things are coming for the country. It's been kind of a crappy year so far. Don't give up. 2020 has always been hindsight. Or 2020 is no longer hindsight, I should say. It's here. So let's not look back. Let's look forward. God bless you. Have a glorious evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.